Hi, folks. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Tony Babarino, and today we're going to talk about the scary thing of credit scores and credit files. And I brought in with me today a good-looking hunk who's real friendly with a gorgeous beard. He's going to share what he does and see if he can help you out. Jose.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Let them know who you are so they know when you speak that you're coming from a position of reasonable authority.
Perfect. Well, my name is Jose Lopez. I'm an account exec with Elite Credit Group. We specialize in helping clients with what I personally call challenged credit. I don't like calling it bad credit because I don't believe people have bad credit. It's just obstacles that we need to overcome. Now, we help remove essentially almost all things derogatory, such as late payments, charge-offs, collections. Sometimes clients have mortgage lates. We can help work on them. Just typical boosting their credit for the opportunity for them to do with what they want.
So when people want to hire and they call it what they are, right? Out in the real world, they call it credit repair.
Correct.
But in your case, you're going to do what you can do to help their credit file, their credit scores to be better, but nothing's guaranteed, correct?
Absolutely. Nothing in this world is ever guaranteed, right?
True.
Except for death and taxes.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So the beautiful thing with our company is we operate a little bit differently from other of our competitors. And by that, I mean, we offer a money back guarantee. So
Money back, you heard that here, folks.
Absolutely.
I'll expound on that because I'm sure people are going, what?
Yes. So the way we operate is we charge based upon a flat fee on the amount of work that needs to be done. So with someone who has maybe one collection is going to pay a lot less than someone who has 10 or 20 collections. Now, we tell our client the quote based upon the workload that needs to be done. And if we can't perform or render services for them, the services that we couldn't perform on, they're going to get a prorated refund on anything we couldn't perform on.
So they're only going to pay, they pay you based on the work that looks like is needed to be done.
Correct.
But anything that you're unsuccessful on, you give them back the money for I don't want to say the failure part, but the parts that succeed are obviously paid for, of course.
Correct.
But anything you fail at because it didn't work, they get their money back.
Absolutely. So if we quote a client for 10 remarks and we only perform on 8, they're going to get a refund on the 2 we couldn't perform on.
Well, that's fair.
Absolutely. It's all about planting seeds and doing the right thing by the client.
So if you were to talk to a prospective client out there, they call you up and say, well, I've done this before and they charged me a lot of money or it didn't work out. You guys all promise the same things. So your money back guarantee, is that one way to show that you're trying to be honest and sincere and truly take care of people by offering to give back the money where, as I'm hearing you say, that you're not successful at? And if you're not successful, could they ever try it again if they want to pay for it at a later date? Or do you say, well, look, there are certain things that we just can't fix and nobody could?
Absolutely. So it's kind of a double-edged sword on that because we absolutely let our clients know if we can work on something, we'll let them know. And if there's certain items that we can't perform on, I have an open book policy where we allow our clients to know, hey, if we can do it, we can do it. If we can't, we can't. And there's certain items that 99.9% of people will say that they can do and potentially can't. Now, there's always that 1% that, hey, those are the honest, trustworthy people that you want to work with. Absolutely. Now, there's certain things that we can't perform on. And I always tell clients in a quick synopsis, because I know time is always of the essence, anything Uncle Sam potentially has his thumb on. And by that, I mean any child support, any divorce settlements, court-ordered judgments, we can't delete.
Can anyone delete those?
Let me rephrase that. Yes, people can delete it, but it's going to reappear in 30 days.
Oh, so
it's
it
just
come back
going
to
to
haunt you anyway.
So let's say,
Repost.
for instance, someone's coming to you and saying, hey, I want to buy a house. And you open escrow on an amazing house for them. And they pull credit first after we delete it. And it's not there. Right before you fund, a good percentage of lenders is going to re-pull your credit just to ensure everything is still aligned, all the ducks in order. If that re-pops up on the midst of that, that can potentially kill an escrow, failing an escrow, and thus causing some financial and emotional hardship. And because of which we don't warranty that. So because of which we can't do that. We like to set our clients up for that reasonable expectations.
So if they're going to shop for a house, whether they own a house or want to sell and buy, or they're a first-time buyer.
Correct.
It seems to make sense to have the credit looked at from, I dare I say, a disinterested third party, because it's not your credit, but you're going to work with the client and say, okay, I'm looking at all your credit. Here are things we're going to attack. Here are things that I think are going to happen.
Correct.
And we're going to estimate your score to be this. And in our previous discussion, you said that You have someone who periodically reaches out to the client.
Correct.
Who
Along the
hires
steps.
you. Who's that?
Yes, her name is Anna. She's our client relations manager. So she's going to periodically follow up with not only the client, but if the client's also working with a realtor, real estate professional, or working with a lender, my client relations manager is going to reach out to not only the client, but also ask if it's okay if they follow up with you to give you the results so you know the reasonable expectations. Hey, we're about a month out from potential fully done. We've gotten X and Y, Z done already so far. So therefore, everyone's in the loop for communication. We make it as simple as possible for our clients.
Now, of course, you can hire any, I'll use the dirty word credit repair. And you can hire any credit repair person you want, just like they can hire any real estate agent they want. But if you're liking what he's saying so far, and especially the money back guarantee part,
correct,
that was a shock. That's what made me remember you. Like, wait, what did you say? And so that's why I had to have you on the show to let people know in person, to put it on the record.
Yes.
We're going to let you know what we can and can't do, and what we say we can do. If it can't be done, you get the money back, which I think is very fair.
Correct.
Right? It's like ordering a whole meal, but then saying, well, I only want the fries and the drink.
Correct.
Give me my money back for everything else because I don't want the rest of it. Or
you don't want the burger. You just want the side.
Right. So in this case, if they call you and you look at the credit,
correct,
do you tell them up front what you believe you can remove and what you believe you cannot, but you try?
Absolutely.
And you guesstimate their outcome of the score with a reasonable timetable so they have some kind of expectation?
Absolutely. So what we first do is we speak to the client. We want to gather as much information as possible, right?
Yes.
Because information is always crucial. If they're working with a lender, I always ask them first and foremost, what's their lender's name and number? I want to reach out to the lender and let them know, hey, I have a client. He says he's at a 580, hypothetically.
Right.
What minimum FICO score do you need him to be at? So therefore, we know what major details to tackle on first.
Ooh, instead of everything in one shot.
Exactly.
What I'm hearing you say is the lender says, well, here's 12 things that are a problem, but if these 6 can be remedied, removed, or improved, we can give them a better interest rate and or lend them more money, maybe.
Correct.
As opposed to waiting for all 12 items, there could be 4, 5, or maybe 6. You can go out right away so we can get done and get moving, and then call your agent after you have the loan. You go shopping for a home. Now you're in a ideally a better position if it works out. Because
Absolutely.
Again, you said nothing's a guarantee, but it's better than, doing it yourself. If you could do it yourself,
yeah,
your business wouldn't exist.
Of course.
So, and in my opinion, if I had problems, I'd rather give it to somebody who's going to say, here's the truth.
Yes.
Here's our best guesses, good or bad. And if it works the way we think it's going to work, you should be here, get the answer. And especially if it's coming in the fall season, if I want to try to buy a house with less competition, and I know I have a few months to go before I'm going to actively shop, and I only have, or anybody, only needs a few items to get going, to get working on now.
Correct.
And we can deal with the other stuff later. That's really nice too, because I'm sure a lot of companies say, well, you have 12 things. We got to do all 12 things. You're going to pay us every month.
It's going to be X amount of dollars, or like you said, pay every month, or what I call the gym membership model.
Oh, God.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. I've come across a lot of people who said that they have used credit repair companies before in the past, and I get it. Credit repair is not the sexiest conversation to have with people.
No, it's not.
But I'll light a candle. I'll put on some Marvin Gaye. We'll make it appealing if we have to.
It's got to get, if you got a problem, it's got to get fixed.
Of course.
Right? You got to tell them what they don't want to hear sometimes. If it's appropriate, I do it too.
Yes. It's one of those things where we can't typically sugarcoat things, especially if we want to set up that reasonable expectations for our clients. And if they come to us with hey, I have a 580, but I need to get to a 660 for maybe that down payment assistance or for that more favorable rate. So therefore I'm not house poor where I'm paying so much in interest on a mortgage versus now I can actually go out and take the wife out on the town. My goal is to help out. So when they come to us, we're going to review their credit report. We're going to tell them based upon your credit profile, we recommend you take these steps yourself because we're going to give them potential homeworks as well for certain things that they need to do on their own. For instance, if they have too much utilization on their credit card, we're going to let them know, hey, you want to lower these down to a certain percentage.
Because you can't pay it down for them. It's their job. It's their money. They got to pay their credit down. If you tell them certain cards,
yes,
you really want to attack these.
Absolutely.
And here's why.
Absolutely. And we always tell our clients that because it's not only just us to remove the negative, but it's also for them as well. You have to pay down your balances. You have to lower it down towards a certain percentage because the lenders are going to want to see that. And when they see it down towards a certain percentage, you're going to be more favorable, which means your scores are going to go up.
Utilization rate, I think it's called, isn't it?
Correct.
So if your credit card is a $10,000 limit,
Yes,
and you have a $2,000 balance, that looks a heck of a lot better than having an $8,000 balance with
Absolutely.
a $10,000 limit. Because I'm sure people who you're never going to meet, that are going to loan you a lot of money, going to look at your credit score, and you're probably a nice person.
absolutely.
But your behavior in your debts and your payments, they want to see. So if person A has a $10,000 limit and person B has a $10,000 limit, but person A only used $2,000
Correct.
balance, and the person B has an $8,000 balance, statistically, based on historical examples to the eyes of a lender, person A that's only used a little bit of his card over a long time is probably more responsible, more likely to make his debt payments.
Less of a risk factor.
Yeah, and has less burden, and whatever money he makes, he can still pay those bills and pay the loan back. Because remember, banks or mortgage lenders, they don't do favors.
No.
They lend you money at a cost, but they want to not be scared. You're not going to pay it back and fail. Then you have a foreclosure and you have a big mess.
Absolutely. It's
So
a business and not a nonprofit, right?
Correct. So if they go to anyone, or let's say they go to you, and his information will be below as well as mine, wink, wink, is if they contact you, they can have a conversation. There's no gotchas, there's no traps, there's no, hey, you took 5 minutes of my time. They can have a friendly conversation, find out what it would cost, sign up. You say, okay, here's what we're going to attack. Here's 2 things we can't take off, but we're going to try anyway.
Yes.
Here's what we think your score is going to be. Then you have your concierge contact the paying client. Hey, we just want to give you an update. Here's where we are.
Correct.
Then when things are, quote, done at that time, then the person can either try again or say, you know what, let's wait 30, 60, 90 days and let me pay down some bills.
Correct.
And then we can try again, because maybe sometimes you get lucky.
Correct.
Right? Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right. We have a lot of clients that typically call us and tell us, hey, look, I'm trying to buy a house. And so we get some clients who may not just be trying to buy a house, whether you're trying to buy a house or you're trying to buy a car, or sometimes even getting a new job. Some new employers actually soft pull your credit just to show that you're financially responsible. So with that being said, we're here to help out with all things credit related. Now, like I said, I understand that in this market, credit is a major factor towards everything. My goal is to help make it as simple and easy as possible, because just because you have less than perfect credit doesn't make you less than perfect of a person. Life happens.
Yes.
Life happens sometimes.
And mistakes. Sometimes, I forgot to pay that bill. Then if you're smart, you call, like, say, Visa, and you say, hey, my payment's 3 days late. I've never been late this year. Can you give me a courtesy waive?
Correct.
And they will sometimes do that.
It's rare that they do, but yes, they absolutely.
Just ask.
Yeah. If it helps you by taking an extra 5 minutes to talk to someone, absolutely go for it.
You could be a great person, but we make mistakes, or sometimes you lose your job, or a medical debt comes up because you had an emergency.
Absolutely.
Things happen. What we want to do is we want to see them contact someone like yourself to say, look,
To help bridge that gap.
Yeah, I can't choke Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, or I can't go pounding their doors because I think some of them are in Texas.
Yeah.
But they can go to you, and I would like to imagine, unless somebody knows what you know, and a lot of people just, let's face it, they don't. They can probably try it themselves, but I would imagine they have to find someone they can trust. You, for example. They could talk to you, and they could decide if you're the one they trust. And if they do, can you give them just a courtesy walkthrough? They call you up, they share their information, they share their story with you.
Absolutely.
And some information. And if they decide to hire you, walk us through quickly the basic steps so they know what it looks or smells like, so to speak.
Absolutely. So I can't speak on behalf of other credit repair companies because everyone operates on a different scale.
Yeah,
right?
they're all different.
So the way we operate is we need to see obviously the full report. So like a mechanic, you can't fix the car unless the car's in the shop. I can't fix your credit without seeing what's wrong with it.
Yeah, over the phone. Here, my engine makes a sound. We'll bring the car in.
Hold it to the engine and let's see how the funny whistle sounds, right? So we operate where we need to see the full credit report, and then we go in depth on what's their needs. If they're saying, hey, I just need to boost my credit up only 40, 50 points based upon what I need to be eligible for, we go in depth and we give them an analysis, which, by the way, our analyses are free. That's one of the things.
Free analysis?
Yes. So we give a free analysis where if They don't sign up. We don't pay. They don't have to pay anything. We tell them what we can do. We tell them what action steps can be taken, the cost, the timeline, as well as their projected scores by the time we're done. Now, that's 100% free. I've heard from other credit repair companies that they charge for that, and that's perfectly fine if that's how they conduct their business.
Yeah, I mean, they might be good people too. 'Cause
Absolutely.
Not everybody's evil.
No,
there are people that
they don't have malicious intent.
Yeah, there's probably some people that are like you out there, and there are some people that are trying to be you, and they're just starting that business, and they probably mean well, but unfortunately, there's a lot of people in the middle that probably shouldn't be doing it. Just like real estate agents, there's a lot of good ones out there. There's a lot of terrible ones out there. Then there are the ones in the middle that are doing it like a part-time hobby and dabble in real estate and really shouldn't. So you folks out there, I'm sorry, but your number one job is find someone you trust to be your agent and find someone you trust to be your lender. And if you have to improve your credit file and scores, find someone you can trust. And this is why I bring on guests like this, so you can judge him based on his beard and his dashing good looks and muscular arms and gorgeous tattoos. But seriously, if you like what he's hearing, if you like what you're hearing so far, and he sounds like a good guy, because he is, otherwise you wouldn't be here alone in the building with me. I'd be out. Give him a call. It starts with a conversation. You don't like what you hear, hang up.
Absolutely.
Just like with me, I talk to people, they want certain things, they don't like it. Oops. There's plenty of business out there. We want to do the right thing. So based on that walkthrough,
Yes.
can you mention something? I know people out there probably have collections on their score.
Yes.
If you've never had a collection that ever in your life and you're like 60, that's amazing.
Congrats. That's amazing.
Congratulations. But for the rest of us, Visa, let's say a Capital One credit card, you screw up a little bit.
Life happens.
It goes to collections. Oh no. And then that collection company tries to collect on you. After a while, they take that debt. They bought probably 50 cents on the dollar. And they're like, I can't get money out of this guy. They sell it to someone else at 20 cents on the dollar. Now these people start bothering you.
Yes.
Then the next collection agency says, I'll buy that off you for 10 cents on the dollar. Then they go, okay, I had enough of this. The client calls you. You see a collection. You see several of them. One tried, then another, then another, then another. How do you attack that? What are the inner workings about a collections that's been passed down the food chain from one to the other that some consumers might not know, just to give them a little magic?
So one of the beautiful things about collections, because even it's not beautiful, obviously, but we're going to make it beautiful. Just like credit. Credit's not sexy, but we're going to make it sexy. Now, when someone has a collection, and let's say January 2020, right? Time goes on. The collection agency that couldn't perform on a collection A then sells it to collection B.
Yeah, basically you're just selling the trash
just
to make a
selling the
couple
data.
of bucks just to get something. Okay.
Correct.
And it's probably not an intimately detailed file, but please continue.
So as they continuously keep selling it, obviously they may not give all the information. The original creditor may not even give all the information. 99% of the time when creditors give their lists to collection agents, it's a data spreadsheet with name, number, account number, and the amount due.
That's it.
So that's why a good percentage of collection agents, the second they call you, they immediately say, I need to verify what's your home address. They're not verifying anything. They're trying to gather that information from you. A good percentage are doing that. Now, the beautiful thing about a collection agent is, yes, it posts up on your credit. And when they sell it to collection A to collection B, it reposts on your credit as a new collection, which does harm your credit. However, we don't go based upon the new collection date. We go based upon the DLA, the date of last activity. So if you stop making a payment, let's say on that Capital One, 2017, and now it's barely reporting 2020, 21, 2022 as new collections, we're going to go based upon the date of last activity with Capital One, which means we can get it removed from that date, not from the newer date.
Well, you could attempt to get it removed.
Correct.
You never know. They pull a rabbit out of the hat and suddenly they're like, well, we actually have oh, damn. But that's the point, is a lot of people right now listening or watching, they probably didn't know that collection A bought it from Capital One.
Correct.
At 50%, let's say it's $10,000. They go, I'll give you $5,000.
Correct.
Because they're hoping they can collect $7,000.
Correct.
After a while, they give up maybe, and they sell it to someone else.
Correct.
And they get 40 cents on the dollar. So now they get most of their money back, and they say, good luck, and person C has it.
Correct.
And they can't do it. Then you contact them and say, hey, the data last activity is when? Like you could challenge them. And a lot of times, like you said, and I've heard this too, how funny you should say that, that sometimes these collection companies, all they have are most minimal piece of information.
Yes.
And when you say, when was the date of last activity? They probably don't know. Now, of course, there's going to be some that might actually have the intimate information. And in that example, it probably can't come off, but you're playing the odds. You're gaming the system that
Absolutely.
the more that collections has been handing to other collections and selling it off to each other, sometimes things get deleted, lost, mishanded, or wasn't even there in the shuffle. And that's one example of how this stuff works. So you're not just pushing a button.
Absolutely.
You actually know there's, I don't want to say a trick of the trade, but you're kind of using their system against themselves.
So we actually have the collection agents leverage against each other. And by that, we mean once collection agency A starts selling it to B and C, the information sometimes seems to be more sparse and sparse, to the point where sometimes even an account number is wrong. Now, the second they're showing inaccuracies and it's reflecting on the creditors, on the credit reports and so on and so forth, we're actually able to challenge that, and due to inaccuracies, we're able to get it removed.
Excellent.
Yes.
Now, that's a nice little nugget. I'm sure it can go deeper. But for sake of our conversation today, can you give us something happy, something positive? Because removing damage,
Of
so
course.
to speak, is terrible, but it has to be done.
Of course.
If it can be done. Give us something happy.
So something happy is, let's say, for instance, John and Jane Smith want to buy a house and they want to add their son just for income reasons. But the son is new, has no credit established whatsoever.
Meaning the son has gotten married and wants to buy a house, and his credit is either thin or non-existent, or even just kind of okay.
Absolutely.
Dad can step in and do what?
So the parents can actually add the son as what's known as an authorized user on one of the credit cards that, let's say, is well established. Let's say it's a 5-year-old account, perfect payment history, never missed a payment, and he keeps it below a 5% utilization. So he's just A1 credit profile on that credit card. If he adds the son as an authorized user, the next time the monthly cycle comes around and the posting date hits, the son is going to be added with all 5 years of that card is going to be reflecting on his credit account. So that's going to thus skyrocket his FICO. And if he has no credit established beforehand whatsoever and he gets added onto that, his FICO is going to snap up overnight.
Nice. So that sounds like I've heard it called a spouse card.
Correct.
Like when sometimes people get married, one person might have, if they have great credit, and the other one has nothing.
Correct.
Or it's thin and light. Honey, I'm going to get you a Visa card or a Discover card on my account. So that my name has my name, but you have your name, but it's on my account.
Correct.
Hence the term spouse card. So what I'm hearing you say is, let's assume Joe and Jane, they're married. The son has a mom and the lady has a dad.
Yes.
Each of those parents, let's hypothetically say their credit scores are 840 and the utilization is really low because they've been super responsible parents. Which a lot of us wish we had. But let's assume each one has responsible parent or parents with an amazing golden 840 credit score, almost no debt.
Correct.
Each of those parents can go to each of their own child and say, son, my credit score is 840 and I have almost zero debt. You have nothing, or you got one Visa card with $1,000, your score is 600. Here's what I'm going to do.
Yes.
I'm going to call my credit card. I'm going to get you a card with your name as an authorized user upon my account.
Correct.
Now, here's what Tony, me, is going to add to this. I would say to my kid, and I'm not handing you the card ever. So once a month, we're going to go out and fill your tank and your car with gas.
Correct.
And buy you a t-shirt. Next month, we're going to buy you a hat.
Correct.
The next month, we're going to buy you a pair of shoes.
Just so it has that activity.
Has activity. By the way, to be responsible, you're going to give me money for the shoes because we're going to use it for the credit card when it comes in. So you get the benefit of my amazing, powerful score,
yes,
which will shine golden light on your score. I mean, hypothetically.
Thus opening more potential doors for him.
So now when you go shopping for a home loan, instead of having maybe in the 600s, maybe the high fives, maybe low sevens, in this hypothetical example,
you're going to have a lot higher.
Right. If each of the wife on her side and the husband on his side, if they happen to both have, or at least one of them have, a parent with a golden, powerful credit score with low debt, that one person could benefit increase their score.
Correct.
God willing, they're paying down their own debts and saving cash. Because you remember, this is a whole pie, right? You're not eating one ingredient. There's a whole lot to it. So that could benefit them. So that is a happy thing, as long as it's not abused.
Absolutely. And it is a double-edged sword, if I may add as well, is that when you add the good, you also add potentially the bad. So if that card ever had a late payment,
Whoops.
that'll also reflect on the son, as well as any other derogatory.
If dad is late on his own payment, it affects the son. If the son is late, it affects dad.
On that credit card individually that he's added as an authorized user, yes.
Ooh.
So if he was even late in the past, that late will also reflect on the son. So it matters also the type of card you add. And some creditors will only report to certain bureaus. So it may only reflect on maybe 2 out of the 3 bureaus.
Can you help them with that? Can you help people identify?
Yes, we not only can only help them identify, we also have that as a service on top of repairing credit, boosting credit. So we have that.
Legit.
Yes. It's called trade lines. So we actually have trade lines for clients as well. And that's just another service that we do as well. So we don't only just repair credit, we also help boost credit. So if they're coming across where they have no credit established whatsoever, we have trade lines available for them. And that's what it's called. It's called a trade line. They won't necessarily get the card themselves. It's a company trade line, and it's going to add years of positive payment history onto them with perfect payment history and little to zero balance, because we don't want it to impact anyone's debt to income ratios.
Well, yeah, that's another thing too. That's the thing, people watching or listening, their responsibility besides paying on time. I mean, things happen.
Yes.
But also stop burning your money on the credit cards and start paying them down to get them smaller and smaller. Because I am not a lender at all, but my understanding is the more you pay down your credit card debts,
correct,
it just looks better in the eyes of a lender. You want to borrow $500,000 and you show you're paying down your debts and trying to save some money, I dare say, and this might be wrong, but your reward, quote unquote, is for that good behavior, you have better chances of getting a better rate, of getting a better loan,
of
getting a better program, which then means if and when you get that loan and your credit looks good or good enough,
yes,
and that your responsibilities looks safe in the eyes of the lender, then I become your best friend, because now we can go shopping for a home.
Absolutely.
Knowing what you, according to the paperwork, can afford. Now, I'm the first one to say, if you have these payments, are you guys going to be okay?
Yes.
Because I would not want to sell somebody a house or have a seller accept a buyer's offer, which would hurt somebody.
Absolutely.
Right? Because at the end of the day, we don't want to do any harm.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, sometimes things happen in life, and the almighty computers of Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, they're harming you many times accidentally. Now, sometimes there's things you do wrong, and I think you can agree there's probably some things that nobody can get off their scores.
Correct.
But having someone like you or any credit company, credit reporting company, or the credit repair company, I meant to say, those companies are probably something that can help you. But since you're local to our area, you can help people anywhere in the country?
Yes. So
anywhere.
Yes.
Anywhere in the United States?
Anywhere in the United States. And even if they're a U.S. citizen and they have their social, and let's say they're even living out of country, but they have accounts still here in the United States they need help with.
Non-citizens?
So we help out with non-citizens. We help out with clients even that have an I.T.I.N. So someone who's came into the country legally who probably doesn't have a social security number, but what's known as an I.T.I.N. And it's been assigned to them, and they need help, whether it's repairing, boosting, or fixing their credit for their credit needs. We're here to help bridge that gap.
Wow, so you can reach and help a lot of people, apparently.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm a firm believer that there's not really any competition. There's too much business out there for there to be competition.
Yeah, just like real estate agents, right? There's a lot of us out here, unfortunately.
Yes.
What is it? Everybody has a real estate license, but not everybody has a driver's license.
Yes.
Which is kind of odd to say that out loud now that I hear it. Okay, so where we are, coming around the full circle, is if you're looking to buy a home, first-time buyer, or you're a homeowner and looking to make a purchase,
correct,
and sell, it probably is not a bad idea to have another person like yourself in your company look at your credit, see what they can fix or improve or make a change or tell you it can't be done.
Correct.
At least you know. information and communication is a big thing. And I think too many of us, first of all, we don't even like to talk about how much we make or don't make.
Yes.
And we also don't like to talk about our credit. Nobody walks around and saying, hi, what's your name? My credit score is 840. How are you?
Yes. Yes.
But with a lender, you got to give them your information.
Absolutely.
They're giving you money to borrow. But the first step is, besides getting your tax records together, your W-2s, your 1099s, your bank statements from at least your last 3 months, so I've heard.
Correct.
And of course, the lender needs access to your credit file and credit score. Before all that, if you know, and you guys know your credit, if you made a mistake, you know.
It's typically on banking apps now where they have, your
You can
credit
look.
wise, and you can see a good ballpark generalization.
They can call you and say, look, according to this system I'm using right now, it says my credit score is this. There's a couple of lates and one collection.
Absolutely.
If you take a look at this, will you tell me what you can work on, what you can't affect?
Yes.
And where do you think I'm going to come out at on this? And what's it going to cost me? And then you would share those answers and the price. Because remember, this isn't a charity.
Yeah.
We all have to work for money. Those of you watching, you work for money too. Well, so do other companies. So what they need to do is make a decision if they should contact someone or you
Correct.
and say, here's my file. What can we do? What does it cost? And when there's things you can't remove, you refund them back that difference.
Absolutely.
So you're paying for only what you're successful at.
You're paying for the results. You're not paying just because we worked on a file.
Like the gym membership example you had mentioned where you pay this flat amount for a whole year.
Yeah.
And then they can talk to their lender and say, look, here's my information, here's my money, here's my savings, here's my investments. How much do I qualify for? What's my rate? And cross your fingers.
Correct.
Because if they do that before fixing their credit and fixing their score, or dare I say, improve it,
Correct.
they can see what it was then. And then after they can go back and they can re-look at the file with all the updates and say, oh, well, instead of giving you this package with this rate, now you're actually at a better position. And that would be money well spent, in my opinion.
Absolutely. We save clients thousands and thousands of dollars just in interest, just because we're a firm believer that you need credit for everything. Now, when it comes down
Even the wealthy.
Absolutely. They leverage their credit more than we do.
Yes, and that's why they're wealthy, amongst other reasons.
Yes. So I actually go one step above, and I always tell our clients, especially if it's business to consumer, myself to the client, that if you are trying to buy a house, I want to speak to your lender. I want to know what program that you're going to get them on. So therefore, I know what's the guideline, what's the minimum FICO. So therefore, along the process, we're going to follow up with yourself, the lender, as well as the realtor, just to let them know every step of the way.
The team,
Yes.
The whole team.
Because then you set up that reasonable expectation that, hey, we're getting inching closer towards your goal. Maybe the lender and the realtor is going to start sending you properties that may fit the profile of what you want and what you're eligible for now.
But in other words, what we're all trying to do between the lender, the real estate agent, and the credit improver
Yes.
is we get compensated to do the best for you
Absolutely.
at the best we can. And nobody wants to pay their mechanic to fix a car. But when I see my mechanic, which I rarely do now, but if I did, I don't mind paying him because I know it's a long story, but I know he cares because he could have really took one over on me. I would never have known truly. And he was brutally honest. So I am okay paying him. If your credit has been impacted, they don't want to pay you to improve or fix or resolve their credit.
Yes.
But if they don't, then they're stuck with the damaged situation they have.
Correct.
Good luck. Or take the chance on someone to help you with your credit and score, or they can take a chance with you.
Correct.
Then moving from there, as they're paying down their debt and saving their money while you're trying to work on improving their credit file and scores, then they can go to a lender and say, okay, what can I do? What can I not do?
Absolutely.
And then the lender could always talk to you and say, hey, Jose, if their score can go up 25 more points, I can get them a better deal on their loan.
Correct.
Wow. Now we're talking about a team. Then I find out it's going to take 60 days, for example.
Correct.
So I know not to start throwing you properties now. I'm going to wait 45 days and then start saying, okay, here's some properties we're getting ready.
Yes.
So that this thing can become reality. Because at the end of the day, folks, in Orange County with real estate, hence our podcast, we're here to help. So that being said, we've got some nuggets here. You can go to anyone you want for any business, of course. But in your case, there's a free phone call.
Yes.
honest feedback, money back guarantee.
Free analysis.
Wow. Free analysis. But I love that money back guarantee, communication liaison between your company and the person paying you, the customer.
Correct.
Communication between you, your client, and the lender, so they can see if or what needs changing to get a more favorable outcome, God willing, for the client. Then they have good information to be able to make a better decision on when to shop for a home and how much to spend, because ultimately we want them to spend only what's appropriate for them. We don't want them to be drowning in a mortgage. Nobody wants that.
No, of course not.
So you can get good information to make a great decision. If you could do it on your own, you probably already would have.
Yes, absolutely. And I always encourage clients, if you're able to do it on your own, that's perfectly fine. I'm not one to stop you from benefiting yourself. We're here to help you in case you can't, or maybe you just don't want to invest the time. It can be a very long and stressful process, and that's why our goal is to make things as simple as possible. So whether it's us working B2C, business to client, or B2B, working with another real estate professional where we're working on towards getting you the goals. If you approach your realtor and say, my goal is to get a key of a home and I want to be a homeowner by the end of the year, but I have that credit obstacle I need to overcome.
Let's be honest, folks. They can say, I'll pay you, you do it. I don't want to hear nothing. And you could just run with it and come back and say, here you go.
It's the same concept where people know how to do an oil change on their car. Doesn't mean they want to do it. They'll pay someone to do it.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. For a long time, I did it myself, but it is much nicer to go to Valvoline or Jiffy Lube. Jose, thank you so much. This is a lot of great information to get people started, to kind of wet the whistle. Of course, folks, everybody's situation is unique. So we can't give you everything in this conversation, but we can give you enough to hopefully you'll feel comfortable enough to reach out to someone. And I like to imagine if you're going to make 2 or 3 phone calls, call him first and see how it goes from there. Just like with real estate agents, you're going to work with who you want. I appreciate that phone call. I handle everywhere in Orange County. Well, I don't do all over the country like you do. That said, I do help people buy and sell in Orange County. I'm a full-time real estate agent. Jose, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing us with Elite Credit Group to be on your podcast. Definitely a great shout out for you guys as well. You're doing amazing. I love your podcast already. I've already listened to a couple episodes. I'm looking forward to future.
I really appreciate it, but not just for me, but for my guests. Please share the episodes, the like, share, subscribes, and follows. It helps give all my guests exposure. They're all people trying to make a living like everybody else. And we're trying to help you folks out by giving you information, make you feel comfortable, and make you aware of things. So just a click or two of your finger could possibly help other people, many of which you don't know because it's all over social media and you don't know who's seeing these things.
Of course.
So I appreciate that. I'm thankful for it. But I'm really extra thankful and appreciative when you guys like, share, subscribe, and follow, because it helps my guests out. And my guests are here to help people like you. My name is Tony Babarino. I'm a full-time real estate agent here in Orange County. Anything from Irvine, Newport Beach, or the surrounding areas, I'm available as an opportunity to help serve you. Jose, with the credit, please look at the information below. Check out the website. But most importantly, give him a call. He's friendly. Thanks a lot. I'll see you in the next video. Be kind, be safe, do well, and let's see what we can do to help people buy or sell a house. And it really all starts with the deep, dark part, which is the credit file and score. That's why Jose is here. I hope this gave you something to think about and helps you take action. Till then, see you in the next video. Take care.
Take care, guys.